2014 was now a whole month away, so here are my top 5 and worst 5 theatre productions I saw in 2014. I decided I couldn't actually rank them 1 to 5, so I've just put them in order of when I saw them. So we'll start on a positive. These are my top 5 things I saw in 2014. First up was When the Children and Animals Took to the Streets, which I saw at the Littleton, which is in the National Theatre. Quite a lot of these you'll notice in the National, it's because I get really cheap tickets. This was amazing. How many times am I going to say that? There was 3 actors on stage at all times, 3 women. One was mostly playing the keyboard, and all the set was just animations. The whole thing had been hand-drawn by an artist. I have his book, hang on. Paul Bill Barrett. I bought this off him after the show, and it's got like some of his illustration stuff. But he hand drew the whole scenery, background, everything. It was amazing. Like, someone asked him after the show how long it took him. I think he said it took 1.5 years maybe, just to draw the whole scenery, extra characters that were animated. It was very cartoony, line drawing type of style. I thought it was great. It really reminded me of a film called Belleville Rendezvous, or Triplets Belleville, that's what it's been translated into because it's French-Canadian. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really clever and so nice just to see something different. Next was Great Britain. When picking these, I was really stuck between this and another one, but I went for this one in the end. This one was a surprise coming out. It pretty much had a week between it being announced and it actually being on stage. They'd been rehearsing it secretly because it's all based on the newspaper scandals that were going on in Britain. So they had to wait for the court case to be over before they could actually show it in case it was like influencing people. So it was all based on the phone hacking that was going on in Britain. I thought it was great. Billie Piper was brilliant. I really loved her. She was the lead actor. There was just so many brilliant actors and actresses in it. It transferred, which, you know, is always a brilliant sign. If it's transferring out of the National, it's going to be good. So yeah, that was excellent. Next involved a little trip up to Chichester. I have actually filmed our trip to Chichester, but I am just terrible at editing. So it's pretty much been 80% edited for the past, when did we go? November. So since November I've had this on my computer. Maybe it will turn up one day, who knows. We went to see Gypsy. So Imelda Staunton was Mama Rose. Lara Pulver was playing Louise / Gypsy Rose Lee. I kind of knew the story of Gypsy. I knew quite a lot of the songs from Gypsy, but I never really knew what exactly the whole story was about. Mostly we went because Lara Pulver was in it. But this reminded me why I love musicals so much. As a kid, musicals were like my favourite thing in the world. And then the past 2 years or so, I've kind of just been watching purely plays. This reminded me why I love musicals so much. I was just sat there like the whole time. It was so great. And this is transferring to the West End this year. So if of anything that's coming out this year, I highly, highly, highly recommend you go and see Gypsy. Again in November, in fact this was literally 2 days later, I went to see something else at the National. This I kind of had no idea about, because tickets come up so cheap, I tend to just buy all of them, just go and see what happened to go and see. This was a production called John by, this is a production called John by the DV8 Physical Theatre Troupe Company. It was all based on verbatim interview with a man who had gone to prison. His life was just, he's had a life basically, acting and dance and just movement, and I thought it was beautiful. It's just amazing. The first, I don't know how long it was, about 10 minutes was just a constant revolve. So I get quite nerdy about sets and revolves and stuff. It was just a constant revolve for the first like 10 minutes of him going through his childhood. So as it went round, scenes, everything, the set was just amazing. So I absolutely love this one. And finally, my last and it was in December, so it was towards the end of the year as well. My last of my top 5, God Bless the Child. I really wish I'd seen this more than once. I really wanted to go see more than once. It was upstairs in the Royal Court Theatre. Now, something that's coming up in my worst shows for the year was also at the Royal Court Theatre, and that was the first time I'd been up there. And it was just like, it was just a really small room. The front, it wasn't really a stage, it was the floor at the front was a stage, and then there was, say, 10 rows of seats back up and tiered. Walking in to see this show was mind-blowing because I'd been there, I think it was 2 months before. Suddenly I walk in, they wouldn't let us in until right at the last minute, and I was like, it's a bit weird. And they led us in, and we all had to be guided in because we walked through a corridor which had coat pegs along the wall, with all little kids' coats hung up and pictures and all. And then you walked into this room that was just, it was a classroom. It was just a classroom. The displays were beautiful. Ofsted would have loved them. I work in a school, so I found this all especially extra hilarious. But then there was just a single row of chairs going round the perimeter of the room, and then one row in the front where they'd be. It was set in primary school, so there was like the book corner, there was the teacher's desk. It was amazing. It must have taken so much work to put that set together. It was amazing. So you walked in, the kids were just chilling, just having break time. And then the play itself was about a school who were part of a trial for a new curriculum with Badger Do Best. And from working in a school, I just found the whole thing hilarious. There was bits of it that I was like really teachery jokes that I was laughing at that no one else was particularly laughing at. The woman who wrote it had been a LSA herself, which is what I am, so or teaching assistant. So you could really tell that she knew what she was talking about. It had Amanda Abington in it, who I absolutely adore, and it was so good. The children actors, they had 2 groups that they would alternate between, which is why I really wanted to go and see it again with the second group of kids. But they were phenomenal. They had a lot to remember, and it was so good, guys! So good! And then we have the worst. Some of these weren't actually that bad, but these were my least favourite things that I saw. So, number 1, at the National in the Littleton, it was Taste of Honey. I saw this with my friend Alice. She didn't particularly enjoy it either. It was, at the time, you could see that it would have been quite controversial. Basically, it's about a young girl who gets pregnant with a black sailor's baby. I just didn't find it interesting. Nothing particularly happened, and I just wasn't excited by it. Next up was, again, is that the Littleton again? Next up was the Silver Tassie. This one was set in World War One. With the 100 years of the war, there's been quite a lot of stuff going on, so they put on a production of the Silver Tassie. Again, this was another one where I just got a ticket and didn't really know what to expect. It started off quite good. I enjoyed the start, but the end was just weird and stupid, if you ask me. I just really didn't like it. Okay, one thing, I'm so jumpy. I didn't let this influence me, but I am so jumpy if there's explosions or gunshots in theatres. Even if I know it's coming. There is a blue tick right outside my window. Oh, damn it. Damn, wildlife, so close. Where was I? Yeah, I'm so jumpy. So, the war scenes, which were actually the best part of this, basically Act 1 was excellent, Act 2 was terrible. It was really quite realistic in what it would have been like to be on going over the top and at the front in World War One, with the amount of bombs going off. I was literally like, I can't deal with this. Yeah, so the start was great, the end was stupid. It ended in a dance hall. I think it was trying to say that even though these soldiers have come back, they haven't really come back. They've changed. They've been mentally scarred by war, and people have been physically wounded and mentally wounded, and it was just stupid. It was a dance, and they had them all dancing around with these really weird prop dummy things, soldiers that were just like body bag. So it was awful. Right, too much time spent on that. Fourth was, it's not technically a play or a musical, but it was a concert version of Anything Goes that I saw at Cadogan Hall. I need to stop going to Cadogan Hall. Cadogan Hall is just full of old people, always. I'm trying to remember why we went to see this. There was someone in it that made us want to go and see it. I can't remember who it was. Quite possibly it was Jenna Russell. It tends to be Jenna Russell if we're seeing one of these things. But it had Maria Friedman in, who I just don't particularly like. People didn't know their words. It was just cringy. Didn't like it. And lastly, was the first thing I ever saw at the Old Vic, which was Kristen Scott Thomas in Electra. Now, last year, Kristen Scott Thomas was in Howard Pinter. When I mean last year, I mean 2013. I can't even remember what it was, but I really enjoyed it. And that was one of my favourite ones from 2013. This year, Kristen Scott Thomas, Dame, she was made a Dame in the New Year's Honours, which is hilarious. Let me down a bit. My battery died and now my parents are home. Yay! Yes, Electra. Greek Tragedy. There was one I actually saw this year that I liked, so I thought this would be quite cool. No, it was just boring. I just found it kind of boring. Yeah. So that was my top 5 and bottom 5 shows. I also had 3 honourable mentions. Here Lies Love, which is at the New Dorfman at the National. It was a musical about Imelda Marcos, and it was amazing because it was like disco music, and it was me on my own. And there was a standing part of the audience, and the set rotated, and you had to move around the set, and the set was just amazing. There was a dance routine you had to learn. It was great. Second, the Greek Tragedy that I mentioned that I enjoyed, Medea, again at the National. Helen McCrory is phenomenal. Story of this is, it's based on Jason and the Argonauts. So Medea married Jason, but then Jason abandons her and goes to marry a different princess, and she is one unhappy lady. I made a review of this if you want to go watch it. I'll put a link down there. And finally, You're in Town. It's another musical. The name is bad, the musical is hilarious. Toilet humour, it's really dark, which was great. It's kind of a bit like a Tim Burton musical, sort of, but comedy. I'm just saying that because it's dark. It's just really good, trust me. I think it may have now closed. If it ever comes back, go and watch it. What did you see last year? Are you seeing anything this year? Let me know down below. See ya!